Co tu robisz, stojąc tutaj i drapiąc się po zadzie? Nawet krowa porusza się szybciej od ciebie. Przestań zwlekać. Ruszaj się, leniwy wyrzutku, i zacznij uprawiać ziemię.
Tak, dziadku. Oh boy, I better get a move on. Well, we're in the middle of harvest, but maybe before I continue, I want to show a couple pictures. I tried to learn a little about Beskidy, which is the map that we're playing here, Farming Simulator 13, map made by Seba. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Let's hop out a game. I want to show some pictures of this amazing region. Now, as I understand it, the Beskidy region is kind of on the southern end of Poland, where there's a lot of mountains. And so I looked up a few pictures on the internet today to see kind of in real life what the region looked like. And I gotta say, I found some beautiful pictures. The ones in the autumn season are particularly striking. The low-hanging mist off of these mountains kind of settling in the valleys looks very familiar. I know in the fall it kind of does that here also a little bit. But just a beautiful view here, kind of looking down from the mountains into a village here and even some farming activity. Here's another one that I found of the region, and I gotta say hats off to whoever made the map. You know, it's surrounded by tall mountains and you look down into a valley, so I kind of see where or how they came up with their idea to build the map kind of the way that it is, surrounded by tall mountains. What I couldn't really figure out was just how much agriculture takes place in the region, although if you go off of these pictures, and I have no idea which direction this is facing, if you go off of these pictures, there is indeed agriculture activity that takes place in that region. So it's pretty cool to see. Here's another one. I don't know if this is a walking trail or just what it is. Looks like there's some housing over here. Kind of high up in the mountain region, and just walking along the ridges, just very picturesque, and again kind of looks familiar from what's in the game environment. Kind of another picture at autumn. I just love the angle of the light, the sunlight coming through, and whoever took the picture kind of from a top-down sort of angle to capture all those colors. Again, it just speaks very well of a very lovely region. I had no idea. You know, I'm sure every nation on the planet has beautiful areas in their country, and those that have never stepped foot in the country, you know, and I've never been to Poland, I don't probably never will be. You just never know, you know, what might be there that nobody ever gets to see. And I would even go one further. Even in a person's own nation, you may never realize the beauty that is there to see, you know, if you were able to know all of it and see it. I know even just the state that I live in, I don't know but a fraction of some of the things that are available to see. Here's another picture of the region. Again, I like this overlooking the valley. That's kind of how our map, the Beskidy map, was constructed. And here there's kind of a flock of sheep in the foreground. Again, I really don't know anything about the agriculture of this region, whether lambing and wool are large areas of agriculture. I just happened to find a picture here that had those in it. I thought it looked pretty cool. And there's definitely farming activity taking place down there. lot of timber too. Another just beautiful picture, just very picturesque, looking into the hills and mountains of a small community, it looks like, in there, and more agriculture activity kind of nestled into the valley. This one here, another one kind of looking down from a mountain into a valley, mother and a child, maybe backpacking or something through the area. Just gives a real good top-down perspective. Also see a lake over here. You know, when I looked at a map, I'm pretty sure I saw a very large lake kind of in the southern region of Poland. I don't recall what it was named, but that's probably where the map author took it to put it in the map. So just pretty cool. That's obviously quite a distance over here too. It even kind of fades into the picture just looking off there. You know, it's interesting too. You know, these houses are fairly scattered. I don't know, you know, what the design is in terms of how municipalities set up land, but it's interesting to me to see there's a row of houses along here. Now, maybe they just want waterfront property. Maybe there's some ordinance that says houses are built here so that you have room for agriculture. You know, I've heard that some European areas do that. They force everybody to live in a village. They don't clutter up the countryside with homes, you know, kind of like it is here in the U.S., you know, in order to preserve farmland. So I don't know how it is in Poland. I just noticed just now the row of homes. Another beautiful picture, agriculture activity. This almost, what kind of animals are down here? Are those horses? I think those are horses. That looks pretty cool. That might be a couple sheep up there. I don't know if they handle cattle in this region, but another just beautiful picture. Be very inspiring to wake up in the morning and see this for a view. And it appears to me that the map author tried his hardest to replicate some of this beauty, I think, in the map. Just an impressive job. Another ag picture. You can see some fields and the tram lines of sprayer equipment going through. Mountains snow-capped in the distance. I would be guessing this particular picture maybe is facing south if the Beskidy region is kind of on the southern end of Poland. Ah, here it is. Okay, so here's a map of Poland, and down here is where I found the Beskidy region, kind of on the border of Slovakia. Actually, I think it goes into several of these nations, even the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and the Ukraine. When I've looked it up online, it hits, I think, all four of these nations. So this is kind of where we're at. And maybe this body of water here is what I was thinking of in terms of there being a lake. I thought it was larger than that, but I don't know. I've looked at a whole bunch of different maps, and I don't even remember which one. Depending on the scale, of course, a body of water is going to appear large or small. But just kind of a neat thing to be able to see the region a little bit on which a farming sim map is based. And it doesn't show it here, but I'm pretty sure, in game there was a town called Żywiec. I think that's how you say that. And I'm almost positive I saw one here somewhere. So maybe even some of the other names are also real life type places, that maybe aren't totally realistic the way he's put them in the map, but have basis in realism in real life, through the name or what have you. So anyway, I think that's all the pictures. So we'll just hop back in game here. Grandpa has just chewed us out, so we had better get a move on. Now, I think in the last episode, I don't recall exactly where I was, but I might have been combining this field over here. I think I was making some bales. I did a little off-cam. I think I shared that I bought an additional corner of the field over here. I don't want to totally run myself out of money. I bought this expensive bale trailer that I'm probably not going to be able to pay for. So I'm going to have to probably cut every tree on the map, just to pay my bills off. Actually, which is it again? Bank of Haggenstedt. Oh, Alt-R. Yeah, let's see. No, I don't think I'm 100 grand in the hole. Loan, 200. Incline, 200. Did I borrow 100? I don't even remember now. Anyway, I know I got a little bit of help borrowing. I'll close that for now. For the moment. And I put in a couple of extra mods too. I think I put one in for... I forgot that when you hire equipment in Farm Sim 13, maybe a number of the versions, that the hired help doesn't even use fuel, or maybe when you're planting or fertilizing it doesn't use seed. So I put in a mod that I hope allows it to start using fuel. So anyway, here's my baler. I don't think I need to do any baling at the moment. And this is wheat also. I think that's what's in the field over here, so I'll just be on the ready to help him out. And here's, what is this? I was kind of thinking, looking at these two fields, that I would kind of plow out this median here and just join the two together. But then when I look at something like this, it tells me that some weeds were kind of put right there, and I don't know if I can plow those out. So I may need to go into the editor and remove them, maybe. Or see if I can. Otherwise, it'll just kind of sit there. At that in the farming sim editor mod. Oh, there's a little strip of grass over here too. But in the system, if you will, as to how crops are put in, certain kinds of foliage can be plowed or cultivated out of existence, and other types cannot. It's more decorative. Like, for example, these bulrushes or whatever those are down kind of where it's a little wet, cattails and so forth, those I'd be willing to bet you couldn't take a plow through and get rid of them. You'd see the dirt underneath them, it would do all that, but it wouldn't get rid of the foliage itself. So, and of course we wouldn't go in there and plow that out anyhow, just using that as an example. Now what the world here? I bet, yep, that looks like barley. Maybe it's volunteer barley. Maybe the farmer last year had a crop of barley and he put in wheat, and now there's volunteer barley coming up kind of out the base of or back at the combine that was thrown over from the prior year. I suppose that could happen in real life. Matter of fact, I think it happens a lot. I remember as a kid, I have some cousins in the Midwest part of the U.S. who grew up on a corn and soybeans farm. And I think back in the day, and maybe they still do this, they rotate between corn and soybeans. I mean, it's kind of a good mix, to do together. I don't know if they do that so much anymore, with the chemical and growing programs and and whatnot that they use. Maybe they do more corn on corn every year. But I know back then, what we did with my cousins, we were just visiting and they needed a little help in the fields. They called it walking beans. Well, walking nothing. We sat on this buggy and basically we were spraying. Oh my, look at that. Well, look at that. There's a whole... That's almost enough to bring the combine around the edge of the field just to harvest that. How funny. Anyway, with our cousins, I mean, it was this motorized vehicle that had tanks on it. Kind of a flimsy looking thing, although it was out enough to have a chemical tank on it with a pump and hoses down to nozzles, of course, that we all held. And then as we went through the bean rows, we were spraying corn plants. And the corn, of course, came from the year before when the combine came through there. And that's what didn't end up, in the clean grain tank, was thrown over and then just kind of planted itself the following year. And since the following year, they were doing, that's a cool fir tree right there. And in the following year when they were doing beans, they of course did not want it obstructed with corn. So we were spraying it out. Looks like the farmer here could have used something similar in the fields if he grew barley here last year. Hopefully there's no more barley out in the middle. Grandpa's old combine just chugging away. While Grandpa sits up on the porch whistling Dixie. Tells us to get our keister out here and get to work. I think we've done a fair piece of work. I don't know how many bales we have. Hopefully not so many that I blow the game up. I know in previous versions of the game there was sometimes a limit placed on the number of bales. Now, I'm almost positive I have a mod in the folder right now that removes the limit. So, oh hey, I thought I heard someone there. There goes overhead the hot air balloon. I just love when app authors take the time to put stuff like that in. Look at this here. What's this? Is this interesting. What's he gonna do? Dive bomb us? Oh, maybe he headed off the other way. He's getting smaller. That almost looks like a pontoon plane that would land over in the lake. Right down over there. I don't know, maybe he does on his circuit. I probably better follow this dude, or won't be ready when he gets full. It took a fair bit to harvest kind of this long, skinny field, but eventually got through it. I'm not really sure just how much we have in storage. Let me see here. Wheat, 32,400. Oh, why is it combine going on so slowly? Oh, maybe it gets confused maybe with the barley sitting over there. Come on, you can do it. So I have a fair amount of wheat and barley, and I guess I have some other things in storage. What else is going on here? This is just other stats. This is the main one. I gotta figure who's gonna give. Oh, I better unload it first. Can't read and drive at the same time. Oh! Falling behind. Oh, he's full. Okay, now there's a solid tree. You know, some of these trees in here, I was noticing they took the collisions off, you know, so you could drive through them. And I was speculating that was part of the reason that they had such good FPS in here. Yeah, boy, it's still 60. Probably part of it is, you know, as we drive forward, we keep seeing the trees popping in front of us. And the reason we see it is because there's what's called a load object, or however you pronounce that, LOD. It's instead of the 3D object, it's a picture of the 3D object. And when you're at a certain distance, the picture is what shows. And it's easier on the game engine, as I understand it, to render the picture of the object than it is to render the object itself. Probably because the object is, many of them are, you know, have collisions. And collisions, of course, require, I think, more horsepower for computing. So, which may be part of the reason why the map author took the collision off on some of them. You know, I am thankful. I put another mod in when between the last session and this one. I was hoping to get the quick camera back. I don't know if anybody's ever used quick camera, made by Decker MMIV. It's a neat little script, you know, where you can move the vehicle camera around, and you can just at a click of a button, it'll move the camera 180 degrees. That's kind of what I use it for, fore and aft, so you can see in front of your tractor and from the rear of your tractor. And I think there's some other distinctions. You can do it at an angle as well. But that part doesn't seem to be working. But it did have another part which I'm pleased with, and that is it no longer zooms the camera back into the close-up view when I go in cab. So if I come in here briefly and then go back out of cab to third person, it leaves it so I could turn it to the side and it'll stay at the side when I go, there it is. So that's kind of handy. I'm glad to have that so I don't lose the view that I had kind of originally. Alright, Combine, where are you? We'll maybe dip it in here. And alright, he stalled out down there. He's a dinky little Combine and fills up quick. Oh, there's another little lake down there too. Empty. Let me hop to the Combine. Yeah, it is coming down. Previously we had 97 liters of fuel, now there's 95, so I know that it's using fuel. I know we're using cash too. Watching the cash go down kind of steady like. Yes, I don't know anybody that's played this map before. Do you happen to know if we can plow out these weeds? I'm guessing we can't. Which does beg the thought, you know, I don't know if this map is set up for, what was it called back in the day? Decker MMIV and another outstanding soil mod. That's what it was. I don't know if this particular map is made soil mod friendly. I kind of think it has the lime and manure mod or whatever that one's called. Maybe you can only have one or the other. That I don't recall. But I know with the soil mod, that there was the ability to have weeds in there that the farmer would need to take care of. And I kind of think the weeds were treated similar to any other crop. Not that you could plant them, of course, but they would appear, and being another crop, you could therefore plow them out. And you probably could put them anywhere you wanted on the map. So, like I say, that begs a question whether, when someone makes a map, maybe ever even as I say that, I'd answer my own question. There's a limit to the number of crops that a person's allowed to put into a map. I kind of think the limit was maybe 15. I don't remember exactly. So once you hit 15, I think there were techniques where you could add additional crops, but you had to rethink kind of how you were going to have them in there. So most maps, very, very few, would ever have more than the maximum number. And so since you had a limited number of slots, you didn't want to fill it up, with extraneous things like weeds, maybe. So let me get out of this way. So maybe you wouldn't want to have something in. Oh yes, he looks 10 miles behind his rear end to see if anybody's back there. So okay, you can turn around. But I suppose a creative Lua scripter could find ways around it. I seem to recall the Chop Straw mod didn't use any of the slots for crops. They kind of had their own area down there in the map foliage area, and you still took them out when you cultivated or plowed. So I'm sure it's possible. Just have to set up the Lua code right, and if you put in the foliage down there, maybe need to make it so all the plows and cultivators in game see it and know what to do with it. Question for anybody listening to this. I mean, this is very beautiful in here what the map author has done. It's just a tremendous map, and there's been lots of good maps over the years in Farming Simulator, but I'd be curious to know, in terms of a look for a map, which version of Farming Sim do you think looks the best? I personally have always felt that Farm Sim 13, for some reason, it looked what I would describe just a little cartoony. I'm not sure why I say that. There's something about it that just looks a little off. And I guess what I mean by that is where the equipment, meaning like the tractor, the combine and everything, the foliage, the sky, kind of the whole thing makes sense and blends together. For example, if you take Farm Sim 19, one of the complaints I remember reading, which was pretty funny, is, someone said we have these picture-perfect tractors, combines, or whatever. I mean, they look just spotless, just like they would in real life. And then they said, and we have a sky that looks like it was made in Minecraft, with a big old blocky whatever. And I think what they were getting at was kind of that same thing. It's like you have one part of the game that looks so nice, so perfect, namely the equipment. And then you have another part of it, the sky, that maybe just doesn't look like it fits. And I know in 19 the Giants were kind of experimenting. Well, I say experimenting, they did. I mean, they changed the whole... What am I driving up here for? coming. They changed the whole way their sky system kind of worked. You know, where they went to a dynamic sky where clouds would shape-shift kind of in the sky while you watched. It would move across the sky. You could see the sun. That all came to being in Farm Sim 19. And every version prior to 19 had a skybox. What's called a skybox. Well, actually, 19 had a skybox too. It just functioned differently than it did in the past. But at the prior skyboxes, I mean, you look at this one, for example, like if we hop out, oh cool, there's another balloon. That is a picture of a real sky. So, I mean, you can't get any realer than a real picture. You know, so when you have 19 and you look up, you, like I say, some guy called it kind of like Minecraft, is a bit blotchy, blocky, and probably was just the Giants installing it to their game engine to function and trying to see how it would work. And I haven't played a lot of Farm Sim 22. Maybe it's getting better. I'm sure it's something that'll improve, you know, with time. So anytime you early adopt something, it isn't gonna do as well as later, hopefully. But anyway, the bell has rung, and so I think I'll leave off there. Now, what do you just go over? I think I'll leave the episode there. Thank you all for coming along to watch a little bit as a non-Polish person tries to do a little Polish farming. Thank you and have a wonderful day.